Now we're gonna have really super interesting topic and super interesting person that I'm really looking forward to listen to. So I would like to invite one of our main partner on that presentation about KYC, and I welcome Liudas Kanapienis, CEO of the company. By the way, hi Liudas. By the way, did you know that actually Liudas was studying medicine and he was supposed to be a neurosurgeon, right?
Yeah.
Why it didn't work out? Why you moved to the fintech?
Just the things change, and I don't know. It's there were quite a few reasons why I didn't finish medicine studies and why I didn't become a doctor.
So what boosted you with the fintech? What was that catch that you are like, okay, now is the fintech?
Oh yeah, it's again, it happened just like with different reasons, one after other. And like it started, I think, in 2004, something like that, with some more like some small transactional things and all the stuff. But later on, it evolved into what we are doing now. So.
And I see that it works very well. So Liudas, we can't wait for your presentation.
Thank you
Good
so
luck.
much. Yeah. And yeah, first of all, thanks ROCKIT for this huge festival that we have today. It's After such a long period of time to have a live event and being here, seeing all the people around, it's really great. So thank you for that, and let's kick off. And to be honest, I want to start sharing you with one fact that I don't know if that was mentioned today, but 10 years back in Lithuania, it was issued license number 1 for electronic money institution. So not today in the summertime, but still, that was the first electronic money institution, and I had an actually opportunity to lead the business development there, and that was a great time and to see how the business evolved. And that's how I want to actually start with a bit of viewing back what happened during those 10 years. And basically, if you remember, and I'm sure you do because still somewhere you can meet those, the KYC topic, the know your customer, was always the painful thing in the financial institutions for both, to be honest, like for the financial institution itself and for the customers, So if you were even the private individual coming to fulfill any kind of, form, that was huge amount of papers that you were just filling in with your hand, submitting that, then again in the bank, all the papers were brought somewhere, and still there are some that is doing the same in the same way. But that was the way on how the system was operating in general, So and everything was done manual, and basically, it has some like universal approach, so that if to remember, you're coming to whatever type of bank to open an account, you're filling all the information that they would need for any kind of case. Doesn't matter if you're just taking the card, to get your salary and to pay your utility bills, or you would take some kind of loan or whatever. You're still filling in like 5-6 pages of information, and that's it. And of course, that was, costly, really expensive to operate with, even not talking about the updates and all that kind of stuff. But that, of course, changed, and the biggest push here was simple digital revolution as such, and the push was actually made from the consumers that found apps like Facebook, Google, whatever, that they can actually simply use just from, downloading an app and starting using that. And this was brought actually to the financial sector as well. And that's where the evolution of the fintech started, because the same approach was actually targeted to the audiences. And I'm sure you still can remember the first interactions with the more advanced financial institutions, as we call it now. Yeah, so especially with the fintech sector. And we had Revolut talking today. If you remember, there were really differentiating options what Revolut at that time offered to the market and how the banks were still operating there. And that was a huge difference between the expectation of the consumers in terms of how they can actually start interacting with the financial institutions. And of course, that was also enabled with the innovative solutions that that enabled these kind of processes to start be handling. So. And simple thing is, what we do, now in all of the financial institutions, like this simple ID, verification, the biometric check, and the comparison in between the people, who is behind the camera and what kind of document do they have. These kind of things, of course, could be happening just because of the evolution of the technologies that we are using today. Of course, the other part was the effectiveness itself. Yeah, so I've talked about the papers and all that kind of stuff that were really hard to process, and still in some of the financial institutions, there are huge issues behind that. Sometimes I know that in some of the banks, I will not mention the names here, but there are some people from those banks here. They call that like bio-robots, because they're just simply putting in the information from the applications and then filling that into the forms. And there's huge ineffectiveness there. Yeah, so of course, any kind of technology that helps to manage that, of course, gives a really huge push in the change. Then it was a bit of a boom with the crypto industry. And of course, we will not touch the point of the financial effect of this. But if to remember from the very beginning, the crypto assets were actually very close to the consumer in terms that they didn't need to provide any information to actually access that and to start operating with that. And of course, you can like not to pay any attention into this and as the process itself. But on the other hand, when consumers have the possibility to choose in between like no kind of actions to be made to access the financial instrument and then again to fulfill lots of the information behind that, so there's a kind of huge push then for the legacy systems and legacy banks to start thinking about that, so that so maybe we also should not ask so much of the information at the beginning or whatever. And of course, the whole trend of the challenge itself, yeah. So basically, we were like, especially from 2015, we were started talking about the challenge, and we are talking about that today, that every one of us is like challenging whatever type of process or whatever type of systems that we use now, or whatever type of products that we use now. And again, today we are talking about the challenge of the existing infrastructures of the Web 2.0 and then going beyond. And that's the trend that started, quite long ago, and was a big push. And of course, the recent one, the global pandemics, that literally forced quite a lot of different companies just to move forward 7 years, fast forward, and to change the approach that they have, especially towards the digitalization and automation of different solutions. And of course, the know your customer process as such had to adapt, because that was started to be applied not only in the financial institution scope, but actually more wider scope. The regulators also pushes that and tries to increase the scope where it is applied. And of course, the KYC then had to become fully digital, automated, cost-effective, and of course to provide a better customer experience. And the flexibility of that, and especially in terms of the risk-based approach, has to be in place. So and that was obvious, and that if you want to have whatever type of like card issued for you, and as this in example to just pay the utility bills, it's not necessary to answer all the information that that bank might need and some kind of any kind of other occasion. So the possibility to ask those questions when it actually matters became crucial. And today, what we see, this trend of risk-based approach is actually implemented within more or less all of the sector. And of course, how to achieve that, especially when the KYC as such has to serve for its purpose. So, the answer is the balance between the technology and the people, of course, behind that, using that. Yeah, so this combination of the technologies applied now that are helping to automate lots of the processes behind and to put all the numbers into the right shelves, supervised by the professionals, works the best at the moment. Because we have to understand that any technology faces quite a few challenges. And, ensuring that there's no fraudsters behind, that it's actual, real people with the real intentions and with the targets that they say they're looking for. Yeah, so, and of course the other parts that lots of the technologies around there and fragmented with the possibilities of, requires then with the integrations, management, and it becomes quite difficult. So it's obvious that where we are moving is more actually on the orchestration of all of that process and understanding not just the one single parts of it, but with the actual full scope of the orchestration of Know Your Customer process. Yeah, so, and that's of course the approach that we have within the company from the day one. We're building that as a platform to orchestrate like everything from the first interactions with the customer to the ongoing due diligence and even offboarding of the customer when it's needed. And of course, API-based, no low code or no code, and whatever technology is applied. But the next step we are stepping today, and actually we will announce today that we are launching the operating system for the KYC. That will be a next step where this industry will be moving. So that's where we will be bringing the actual efficiency within the Know Your Customer process and focused on the, helping compliance people to actually manage the information. And that's where we will try to change the view that number of people working with the compliance actually does not relate to the quality of that. And that's what we are going to change. And, if looking at the future trends and what is coming next, open banking framework also gives a bit of the landscape itself, how the future will be shaped. And especially that's where we will talk about, the possibilities to exchange the data and to reuse the data there, because that's a really good framework that seems to be working now. Of course, there will be, always the discussions about how to make the processes more simple, more flexible, all the stuff. And for sure, we see now the ongoing discussions about the, universal IDs, EIDAS implementation, coming in force, creating those digital wallets and reusing the personal identity as such to ensure that the data stored within the person, and of course with the possibility to share only that part of the data that is needed for that particular action. So that's where the trend is going on now, and that's what we see more and more implementations and examples in the future. So that's very briefly from myself. Thank you so much, and if any questions, I'm here to answer that.
Right. Thank you, Liudas, for this energetic presentation. You clearly made an impression on the audience, because the first question I have here is, are you hiring?
Yeah, we are.
Catch Liudas on the networking, and you might leave with a job. Right. So you sort of gave a 10-year review, what's been happening with the KYC in Lithuania, but I guess globally as well. So where do you think the KYC will be in another 10 years?
Well, I think if I could answer this question, so we would be already doing that, yeah. So to be honest, never know how it will evolve in general. But what we see that this trend of controlling their, the person's data on their own is a real big trend, basically, and that's the willingness of the consumers and companies around. So in my opinion, that's where we are kind of heading to. And basically that will be then the responsibility for having your own data and basically sharing only the parts that you need with. But it is becoming like more and more fully integrated, and basically that's trying to achieve that some kind of one identifier would be enough to have all the information that you need, and that would be like enough for normal users and normal consumers. Of course, for the fraudsters, it will become more and more difficult, and especially for the money launderers. And that's what we see already from the examples, that it's not so easy now to bypass like the systems, to intrude into some kind of infrastructures, and that's what we will see for sure.
Sounds good. So hopefully. Not too many, my grandson is in trouble, please send me some money. You spoke about a lot of innovations and what the future brings, but what challenges do you have as a KYC innovators?
I think we all, as the technology companies, we have the same challenges. Yeah. So first of all, to try to catch up with the the development of the technologies itself, and then of course to also be always in the upfront and a bit of frontier runner amongst the people that actually wants to benefit in the opposite way from those technologies. So that's kind of the challenges that we have, and of course to implement the ideas that we have. So now there's 200 people with 200 minds. So trust me, to implement all the ideas is not so easy now.
There's another question here from the audience that says, are there any other areas besides the finance where KYC technology can be applied?
Very interesting, because yesterday we were discussing that internally, and that we need to focus a bit of of the areas that we are working with, because today when all the business is online, so there's a huge demand on kind of knowing who you're dealing with. Yeah. So, and to understand that every business that actually needs to know more about the customer than just the email address or the phone number, basically is doing the KYC. And that's where sometimes businesses needs to know the age of the customer, sometimes where the customer is from. Sometimes more information, so, and then to gather like everything around that and to draw the big picture. So that's to be honest, like even very wide sector.
Good. And to finish off, I have a question that obviously, the Lithuania is your cradle, but what other markets or countries you are looking at to expand?
So, well, currently we work in European and American markets, Northern and Southern and Central American. And that's where the focus is now for this year and then the next year, and then we'll see. So maybe there will be some African countries, because that shows quite a good potential there. Of course, Middle East always interesting. So but we'll see.
Well, good luck and best of luck with that, and thank you again, Liudas.
Thank you so much.